A man is walking barefoot through the streets of Athens. He is not a general. Not a king. Not a wealthy merchant. He is a 70-year-old man with no money, no title, and no official position. And yet everyone in this city knows exactly who he is. His name is Socrates. And the city he walks through every single day is the most remarkable place the ancient world has ever produced. This is Athens, 399 BC. Today, we are going to walk through it together. Forget the image you have of ancient Athens. White marble. Silence. Calm philosophers in clean robes having polite conversations under perfect blue skies. The real Athens had 300,000 people packed onto a rocky plain between the sea and the mountains. The streets were unpaved dirt. Most houses were mud brick, cramped and unplanned. The city smelled like fish, leather, smoke, and animals. But above all of that, literally above it, stood something no other city in the world could match. From any point in Athens, on any morning, you could look up and see the Parthenon. In 399 BC, that building was less than 50 years old. The paint on the marble was still fresh. The gold on the sculptures still gleamed. Inside, the statue of Athena stood 12 meters tall, covered in gold and ivory. To reach the top, you climbed through the Propylaea, the monumental gateway to the Acropolis, with marble columns and a ceiling painted deep blue with golden stars. At the top stood the Erechtheion, famous for its caryatids, columns sculpted in the shape of women holding up the roof with their heads. And at the most visible point of the plateau, a bronze statue of Athena Promachos stood so tall that sailors approaching from the sea could see the gleam of her spear before they could see anything else of the city. Socrates walked up here. Plato walked up here. Pericles, the statesman who ordered the Parthenon built, had walked these same stones a generation earlier. The Acropolis was where Athens went to remember what it believed about itself. And Socrates was the man who kept asking whether any of it was actually true. But there was already a shadow over this city. 5 years before our story begins, Athens had lost everything. The Peloponnesian War ended in total defeat against Sparta. The empire was gone. The navy destroyed. And in the chaos that followed, Athens endured a brutal dictatorship that executed hundreds of its own citizens. Democracy had been restored. But the wounds were raw. The city was angry and looking for someone to blame. Socrates had two problems nobody would mention out loud, but every Athenian was thinking about. He had been the teacher of Critias, the most violent leader of that dictatorship. And the teacher of Alcibiades, the treacherous general whose betrayal had helped lose the war. That old man walking barefoot through the marketplace was not as harmless as he looked. Between the grand monuments and the chaos of the Agora, there was a part of Athens that most histories forget to mention. The Kerameikos district sat just outside the city walls, straddling the boundary between the living and the dead. On one side, the potters, the neighborhood took its name from them, worked their kilns from before dawn, producing the painted ceramics that Athenian merchants carried to every corner of the Mediterranean world. On the other side of the wall lay the Demozion Sema, the public cemetery where Athens buried its war dead. Heroes, generals, ordinary soldiers, all of them resting in the same ground, marked by stone monuments that pedestrians passed every single day walking in and out of the city through the Dipylon Gate, the largest gate in the ancient Greek world. Socrates knew this road intimately. He had walked it as a soldier. He had fought at Potidaea, at Delium, at Amphipolis, 3 campaigns across 2 decades, surviving battles that killed men around him, carrying his shield home each time. The image of Socrates that history remembers is the old philosopher in sandals, but the man who showed up to those conversations in the Agora had spent years in full armor on active battlefields. He had seen what Athenian democracy asked of its citizens in the most physical and final sense possible. That weight lived in the Kerameikos. In the names on the stones. In the families who came to leave offerings at graves. In the quiet that existed just outside the gate, before the noise of the city swallowed you whole. When Socrates argued, in his final days, that a citizen owed loyalty to his city even unto death, he was not speaking in abstractions. He was speaking as a man who had already been willing to die for Athens once, and had simply decided, at 70, that he was willing to do it again. Coming down from the Acropolis, you arrived at the beating heart of the city, the Agora. Market, courthouse, and political space, all at once. The Bouleuterion held 500 randomly selected citizens who met every day to manage city business. Along the northern edge ran the Stoa of Zeus, a long covered walkway where citizens escaped the heat to talk. This was where Socrates spent most of his days. He would stop anyone willing to slow down, generals, merchants, young aristocrats. He would ask them to define something. Justice. Courage. Wisdom. Then he would follow that definition wherever it led, until the person realized they had no idea what they were talking about. Two young men who stopped to listen and never quite left were Plato, who gave up a promising political career to follow this barefoot old man around, and Xenophon, a soldier who would later write down these conversations for history. To understand the full power of Athens, you had to go to the sea. The port of Piraeus sat 8 kilometers from the city, 3 natural harbors carrying grain from the Black Sea, linen from Egypt, spices from Persia. Connecting Piraeus to Athens were the long walls, 2 parallel stone walls running 8 kilometers side by side, creating a protected corridor between the city and its port. As long as those walls stood, Athens was effectively unconquerable. The architect of that strategy was Themistocles, the general who defeated the Persian fleet at the Battle of Salamis. He understood that Athens' real power was not its army. It was the sea. Those walls had been torn down after the war. In 399 BC their foundations were still visible on the ground, a scar that every Athenian passed and understood. To fully grasp why Socrates became such a polarizing figure in Athens, one must understand the political trauma the city had just lived through. In 404 BC, 5 years before the trial, Athens had surrendered to Sparta after nearly 3 decades of brutal war. The defeat was catastrophic, not just militarily, but psychologically. The Athenians had believed, genuinely and deeply, that their city was exceptional. Chosen by the gods. Protected by Athena herself. The long walls had fallen. The fleet was gone. And in the power vacuum that followed, Sparta imposed a puppet government on Athens, 30 oligarchs, later known simply as the 30 tyrants, who ruled through terror, executed political opponents, and dismantled the democratic institutions the city had spent generations building. 2 of those 30 men, Critias and Charmides, had been close associates of Socrates. They were his former students, people seen regularly in his company, men shaped in part by his questioning of Athenian values and traditions. When democracy was finally restored in 403 BC, the city was raw with grief and fury. Nobody wanted to reopen old wounds by prosecuting men for what they had done during the tyranny. An official amnesty had been declared. But Socrates was still there, still walking through the Agora, still making powerful men look foolish in public, still asking his uncomfortable questions as if nothing had happened, as if the city had not just survived the worst years of its existence. The trial of 399 BC was not really about impiety or corrupting the youth. It was about a city trying to close a wound it did not know how to name. The trial took place near the Agora. 500 citizens, selected by lot. No judge. No lawyers. Each side given a fixed amount of time measured by a water clock. Socrates had friends who prepared a careful, humble defense. The kind of speech that would almost certainly have resulted in acquittal. He threw it away. He refused to beg. He told 500 angry Athenian citizens that he was the greatest gift the gods had ever given their city. The jury voted, 280 guilty, 220 not guilty. Convicted by 60 votes. 30 people away from walking free. When asked to propose an alternative to death, Socrates suggested Athens should give him free meals for life, the honor reserved for Olympic champions. The jury voted for death by an even larger margin. He waited 30 days in prison while a sacred ship completed its voyage. His friends arranged an escape. He refused to go. On the last day, he drank the hemlock, walked until his legs grew heavy, and lay down.